Hello everybody and welcome back to Red Eagle Politics. Make sure you guys like this video down below and subscribe to the channel if you are new. So it's Inauguration Eve. Donald Trump will be getting sworn in tomorrow. He'll be taking the oath of office and he will officially become the 47th president of the United States. And he will become the 47th president because of what took place on November 5th. So I thought, why not just a fun video? Let's react to the Election Night Meltdown that was had over at MSNBC in today's video just for fun. And by the way, some people don't understand what a reaction video is. I get a lot of comments saying, you talk throughout the video. Well, that's fine. If they just want to watch the meltdown itself, I'm going to link that down below because I will be stopping the video. I will be talking, giving analysis, but we will be reacting to it. But first, I have to tell you guys really quickly about my merch store over at shop.redeaglepolitics.com. So guys, our merch store is back at shop.redeaglepolitics.com. You guys can get 15% off on everything now because of our inauguration sale using code NEWPRES. It's only going on for about a week, a limited time. Make sure you guys check out the store. We got all these epic designs. We have new designs. We got all the old bestsellers. That's true if you guys want to still check out those, but we do have some new arrivals. The Trump portrait mug, the Trump wearing the ice and diamonds mug and t-shirt. We also have the Make Greenland Great Again shirt and the new Trump portrait shirt. These are great designs that highly encourage you guys. Check out the store, see if you find anything you like at shop.redeaglepolitics.com. You can get 15% off for the next week. Make sure you check it out. The link will be in the description and pinned comment down below. Now back to the video. All right, so without further ado, let's play this. Let's see how funny it is. I've seen maybe clips of it. I don't believe I've seen the entire thing all the way through, but let's just see them go from smug to absolutely devastated once again.
All the anticipation, all the excitement, all the anxiety, all the doom scrolling, all the manic refreshing of polling averages, it has all been leading to this hour. And we know you have every choice in the world for where to spend tonight, so we're really grateful that you're spending it with us, and we hope you'll be with us through the duration.
How's everybody doing? First time voting?
Yes.
How you feeling?
Good.
You guys doing okay too?
Yes, we're doing great. Kamala la la.
I was going to ask who you're going to vote for, but I didn't need to.
Kamala la la. Because lives matter.
First time voting? As you know, this is where the Harris campaign wants to drive up the numbers to sort of counteract that T in the middle of Pennsylvania to counteract the rural votes that the Trump campaign is expected to get.
And it's funny because Donald Trump himself actually did much better in the Philadelphia area than he did in 2020 or even 2016, depending on where in the Philadelphia area, but every single county got redder and these people are acting so smug. Oh, she's going to get the city turnout. And it's like, even if she got it, it wasn't enough. And a lot of these people, who did they vote for? Well, Trump gained. So yeah.
What you've seen in the last couple of weeks, if this is an audition for managing a complex organization like the United States, Kamala Harris has passed the audition flawlessly. This has been, in many ways, a perfect campaign. And what the campaign is talking about now is the granular get out the vote effort that you just don't see on the other side. On the other side, you're seeing Charlie Kirk going on X Twitter this morning and begging people to vote.
The last week has been a very good.
So yeah, apparently we had no ground game. They had all the ground game. Yeah, no, that's not exactly how it worked. They're just smug. They believe their own lies that, like, you know, keep their own base complacent. But in reality, the ground game worked better on the right because I guess we just have the more competent people. We didn't need to just boast about some ground game that got how many fewer million votes than Biden did in 2020? Like 6 million fewer, whereas Donald Trump got 77, 78 million votes himself. It was not particularly all that close when you look at the vote shift between 2020 and 2024 is like 10 million in total on net swinging to Donald Trump. And they're just so smug and arrogant about it. It's just hilarious.
Close for Kamala Harris, not a good close for Donald Trump. He hasn't been able to fill the rallies. He's addled. He has racist comedians opening. Whatever. It's been a trashy week for Donald Trump. It's been a very strong week for Kamala Harris.
ASU.
And by the way, when you looked at the exit polling from the last week, the late deciders, Donald Trump overwhelmingly won them. So it just gaslighting. The media completely failed this cycle. They're like, oh, a joke was told by a comedian about an island that has garbage problems, which it does with their whole like landfill thing. And Puerto Ricans, when Osceola County came in Florida early on election night, it was like 20 points to the right, the most Puerto Rican county in the entire nation. Like, Puerto Ricans helped deliver Donald Trump the White House with their, shift towards him in Pennsylvania, Florida, you name it. And these people actually thought that some like joke told by a comedian that had nothing to do with Trump would actually cause Trump to lose the election, because that's how delusional they are.
Campus that we're on right now, ASU students, the population is about 74,000. So a lot of people voting here. When it comes to a lot of the young women that we've been talking to, reproductive rights is huge. It's a big, big driver. It's a lot of the conversation that we're here.
He's got the MAGA hat on.
We've got about 10 now completed of those rural, heavily Trump counties. We're talking about places where he's going to get 70, 75, 80% of the vote. In all 10 that have now been completed, Trump's vote share relative to 2020 has gone up.
I'm just going to give a couple of everybody take a breath warnings here. We don't know what's going to happen in Georgia. It's like a baby blue state, I'm going to say, and that it has not been blue for a long time. It is a hard state for the Harris team.
One of the things that was so striking about the public polling and the public data going into this election was that the public polling said this is the closest race that we've ever had.
Yeah.
Basically. I mean, that was the consensus view. And there was a real question about, well, maybe the public polling's wrong, and maybe it's going to miss a few points in one direction or another.
Well, it kind of did, but first of all, the public polling still had Donald Trump winning the White House, and for two, it got revealed that Kamala Harris, according to her own internal polls, was actually never leading, despite them coming out publicly saying, oh, our internals have her up. They never did. So it kind of shows that that really wasn't the case, and if anything, yeah, there was a miss, as there usually was, but the miss was in favor, once again, of an underestimation of Trump.
We don't know at this point. It's very early in the evening. But I would say at 8:50, it's a very, very close race.
Yeah, I'd say that if you are just joining us right this second at 8:52:06, and I had to summarize what's going on, no surprises.
Yeah, right.
Pretty much that's what's happened thus far. In Georgia, it's too close to call. In Pennsylvania, it's too close to call. In Wisconsin, it's too close to call. In Michigan, sing it with me now. It's too close to call. Whew.
Let's be blunt. I think when you watched what Donald Trump did in 2020, what Democrats were fantasizing about was a landslide victory. And so some of what was wanted and desired was a sweep that really wasn't on the table. We live in an evenly divided country, and it creates anxiety, but it also requires patience.
It is fairly...
It's already not even 9 o'clock, and they're already starting to lose their composure, which is pretty funny. And it's they'll put up the state results, and they'll be like, oh, we still have a chance, no surprises. But then you look at the counties that are all the way in, and it's okay, this is a little bit of a different story. Donald Trump was well ahead of his 2020 margins compared to, the counties that were in at the time compared to what he got before this time around.
Shocking. And I don't think it's something that should make us super proud. You just think about just the last 2 weeks and the things that Donald Trump has said. If all of that gets you half of the votes?
48, 49%.
What does it tell you? I mean, we need to really take a step back and think about what does that say about us?
Yeah, we do need to take a step back in terms of you guys needing to take a step back in the media, because the only reason why there was any outrage at all was because it was the media. They'd take things out of context. They'd run with it. They'd run with these fake, unsubstantiated stories with no evidence about Trump. They resorted to just throwing everything they had at Trump because they knew they were going to lose deep down. And they did. They fell short, and in part because of it. You look at the media, the insufferable left, that's partially why you saw Donald Trump not only win, but win by the margin he did. It was not necessarily a referendum on Trump just as much as it was a referendum on you guys. And obviously it was a referendum on Trump because the people didn't buy what the media was selling about Trump, so they voted for him, even if they had questions or whatever, it didn't exactly matter at that point. And they don't even realize that they're responsible for helping dig the hole that they put themselves into.
I mean, blue wall, baby. There was always going to be a blue wall night. Some of the fantasies, right, of a landslide victory that would erase any doubt, that would eradicate, the threats. I think it's going to be a late night. The polls have accurately captured this dead heat.
Ari, since you were last with us, I've got nothing to report.
Well, the crowd here is still large, is still loud, but a little bit more subdued. And the word that I keep hearing is the idea that people here are nauseously optimistic, not just cautiously optimistic, but nauseously optimistic. The real focus now is on that blue wall in the Midwest. They knew that this was going to be a long night and that it was going to be a real nail biter, and it appears that that is exactly what we're looking at right now.
And that's a little subjective, but we'll let it slide given the time it was taken. But it was not really that much of a nail biter. The fact that the election was called on election night with how they count the votes in 2024, it's like, yeah, that was insane. It was a mandate of sorts, especially given the shift we saw nationwide between 2020 and now.
We've been saying for weeks, says O'Malley Dillon, quote, that this race might not be called tonight. Those of you who were around in 2020 know this well. What we do know is this race is not going to come into focus until the early morning hours.
Part of the objective of this email is to say to the people on the team, hang in there, guys. Like, it's not over. We're still getting votes in. We still need to keep talking to people, keep people in lines, tell your grandma it's going to be okay.
We now have...
Like, they said keep people in lines when every swing state already basically was done voting at this point. And it's funny, it shifted from, she's going to win, like the polls have it close, but we're confident she's going to win, to, oh no, the polls are actually right, to here's how she still can win. And we're like barely halfway through.
Have an NBC News call in the first one, Joy. North Carolina called for Donald Trump.
Yep. And so it was,
We now have all the vote in Luzerne County. Donald Trump is going to win this by a little bit more than 21 points. 4 years ago, it was 14. We also saw him make those gains in Lackawanna County right next door earlier tonight. Democrats wanted more of a Trump drop-off here. They don't get it in Lebanon County tonight. In 2020, Joe Biden won here by essentially 27 points. Sits at about 24.5. In Chester County, more significant drop-off for Harris from Biden. Next door in Montgomery County, Harris is now running a point behind where Joe Biden finished in this county. Biden won this by 4.5 points in 2020. Trump has now taken the lead in Bucks County.
NBC News.
And it's funny because how many times did we hear, the suburbs are gone for Trump. He's just going to lose like these, magical two-time Trump voters that are going to like abandon him for some reason. It never happened. If anything, he gained voters in those places they said he was going to lose voters in a lot of these big metro areas. And that's partially why not only did he win the Electoral College, but also the popular vote. And they're just like stunned because they buy their own nonsense. And it just, this is why they end up having the meltdowns that they end up having.
News now projects that in the battleground state of Georgia in the presidential race, Donald Trump has prevailed. The Republican Party will control the United States Senate. This is live from Howard University in Washington.
You could hear the voice cracks when she's saying all that too. It's insane.
Washington, D.C.
We still have votes to count. We still have states that have not been called yet. We will continue overnight to fight to make sure that every vote is counted. Thank you all.
A short and to-the-point statement from Cedric Richmond, the Harris campaign co-chair. You now see them turn as one to start to leave the grounds.
The evening.
For those who don't remember, back in 2016, you had John Podesta go out there to the Javits Center in New York, where the Hillary Clinton watch party was in the Clinton HQ. And literally the same speech was basically given, and you saw people turn away. And like at this point, yeah, it's over. Like if you remember 2016 when this happened, you definitely knew, yeah, it's officially done.
It was getting increasingly somber as people realized what this map is looking like. They turned off the TV set and just piped up the music because the room was starting to get increasingly somber.
We always knew it was going to be down to the blue wall, and the blue wall is still uncalled at this point. But it sounds like the Harris campaign is sort of keeping things tight in terms of whether or not they're going to string people along into thinking this is going to happen.
What they went to that venue tonight hoping to see and witness was a historic election of Kamala Harris to the presidency.
Yeah.
Was the end of the Trump era as they knew it. And so we don't know the outcome yet, but that is not what they are receiving. And they are being told to go home and wait till tomorrow.
And nothing that was true yesterday about how flawlessly this campaign was run is not true now.
Okay. No, everything was perfectly fine. Everything was perfectly fine. You know, she didn't have policies. She was flip-flopping left and right. She went out there and said she wouldn't do anything different from Biden when Biden has like a 40% approval rating on a good day. It's like, seriously, she ran a flawless campaign. The talking down on men, the digging the hole everywhere. It's like, seriously, do they not see what they're doing wrong? They never learn. They never learn from any of their losses. It's absolutely hilarious. They just are smug. They're arrogant. We did everything right. How did this happen? Then the next election cycle, they'll go in, oh, we're going to win big. This, that, and the other thing. It's insane, guys. But honestly, it works out for us, so you can't complain too much about it.
I mean, this really was an historic, flawlessly run campaign. Queen Latifah never endorses anyone. She came out and endorsed. You know, I mean, she had every prominent celebrity voice. She had the Swifties. She had the Beehive. Like, you could not have run a better campaign.
Yeah, because campaigns are totally determined by the amount of celebrity endorsements that your campaign gets. Yeah, that's definitely why, you know, she ran a good campaign, is because Queen Latifah, who probably hasn't been relevant and God knows how long, endorsed her, that all of a sudden she ran a good campaign. Like, the fact that these people actually think that that type of stuff moves the needle is exactly why these people ended up losing.
Western Europe and in the UK and in the Middle East, people are waking up to this.
Oh, and they are.
I've gotten people from Western Europe who are extraordinarily alarmed and terrified.
May I reiterate?
Well, they should be. I mean, because they're not going to be able to rip us off any longer if you have a president who's going to be putting America first. Like, oh, poor Western Europe. Who cares about America and what the silent majority thinks? Oh, poor Western Europe. Haven't you thought about them? It's like, give me a break.
Great. There are 2 of the 7 swing states that have been called by NBC News right now, which is Georgia and North Carolina. None of the other 5 states have been called at this point. You can see this is the battleground states, Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Wisconsin, the so-called blue wall. None of those states called by NBC News. In the swing state of Pennsylvania, NBC News now projects that presidential contest has been won by Donald Trump. It presents an insurmountable future.
Yep, and there it goes, because all he needed was Georgia, North Carolina, Pennsylvania, and then hold every, state that he won in 2020. Obviously, he was going to hold Alaska. He did hold Alaska. That would get him to 269. I think there's an electoral vote in either Maine or Nebraska that was for Trump that wasn't called, but that would have been enough to get him to 270. And it's like, at this point, you can't cope anymore. There's not going to be blue Alaska. They're probably just going to go full unhinged meltdown mode at this point.
Here, for Kamala Harris and for the Democratic ticket. Let's watch as Trump takes the stage in Palm Beach, Florida.
We overcame obstacles that nobody thought possible, and it is now clear that we've achieved the most incredible political thing. Look what happened. Is this crazy?
Boy, it's going to be a real tough speech for her.
Yeah, it was. Very unmemorable, by the way. But that pretty much about does it. The MSNBC Election Night Meltdown. They really went from smug, arrogant to utterly devastated. And that's just typically what happens. Donald Trump, when he wins an election, the mainstream media that's just been out to get him the entire election cycle, they just crumble because he overperforms, he wins. They always bet against him. It's like betting against Tom Brady in the Super Bowl. Usually doesn't really work out too well if you do that. So anyways, guys, thanks for watching this video. Like this video down below, comment down below, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell for notifications so you never miss another video. Follow me on social media. The links will be all in the description down below, and I will see you guys in the next one. Red Eagle, out.